Tim, thanks for logging on and welcome to our channel. Today we're discussing the Tudor Heritage Black Bay, reference 79200R. You can see this 41mm stainless steel vintage-inspired dive watch on our website. Purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time to see our full listing for this watch with additional high-resolution images, accessories included, and naturally full pricing details. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, the Tudor has a chunky charm to it that actually sets it apart in appearance and personality from a contemporary Rolex reference in the dive class. It also has vintage cues that separate it quite distinctly from unabashedly modern dive references. Now the watch is large, 41mm across the round of the case, not including the so-called big crown. The watch has heft and it has presence. It's also 14.5mm thick, but with a sloped bezel and a domed sapphire crystal, it does slide fairly easily underneath sport jacket, blazer, or looser sweater sleeves. Now the watch is reasonable from lug to lug. The lugs are more high than broad, and you can see about 51mm from extremity to extremity. The watch wears easily on a 16 centimeter wrist, and I would say right down to about 14.5 centimeters, you're going to be able to wear this watch with the same kind of style and security and proportion. Now it is a little bit bulky, but it also has a great deal of charm, and wear on a smaller wrist, fit on a smaller wrist, is greatly aided by this fantastic Tudor branded textile NATO strap. It's a really handsome piece, and it actually puts the vast majority of generic NATO straps and buckles on the market to shame. Much like the piece included with the Omega Seamaster 300 Master Coaxials, it takes the NATO almost to the level of state-of-the-art. Very handsome and very comfortable, and of course, in the tradition of the NATO, a full undersling. Now the watch also features a number of stylistic elements that are a true throwback, and that is the heart and soul of this watch's appeal. Now you can see all the obvious ones, but the one that strikes me the most and really caught my eye when I first held the watch was the use of these polished bevels along the lugs and along the case flank. Now you can see that the side of the watch features high polish and that the lug tops are satin or brushed, but there's a beveled transition between them that actually tapers as it approaches the bezel. This is a feature long gone on modern Rolex watches, and I love to see it reprised on this Tudor vintage tribute. It's just incredibly handsome, and it shows attention to detail and the thought process that went into creating this watch. Someone who was a true enthusiast, or more likely a team of true enthusiasts at Tudor, thought this watch out and they sweated the details. Now you'll also note that the details come to the fore when you're looking at the watch face, and it's not so much a tribute to any one watch as it is to a continuity of watches. You can see the gilt or golden style printing and the chapter ring outboard of the hour indices. This is a recollection of the very first Tudor Submariners, starting in 1954, like the 7922. You can also see the rose dial, a tribute to Tudor Submariners, built right up until the early 7016s of 1968, and then it was phased out for a new design for the shield. And you can see the snowflake-style hour hand, this being a tribute again to the 7016 and onward, a feature that was phased out in the early 80s. Now, you'll also note that the big crown itself has a role to play in evoking Tudor's history. This is a pretty direct tribute to the late 50s reference 7954 Big Crown. So there's a lot going on here and a lot of watches being referenced in a very small space. So if you love Tudor and you want to sort of own a map of Tudor's heritage, almost like an anthology for your wrist, that's exactly what the Heritage Black Bay is. Now it's also a very functional dive watch. The bezel is a true unidirectional rotating bezel with a loomed pearl. It's not bidirectional like the authentic vintage references were. Moreover, the watch does meet the ISO 6425 standard for a true dive watch, being 200 meters water resistant. It has a constant second indicator. It has a unidirectional rotating bezel with a luminescent pearl. It features a screw-down crown in addition to a crown that is large. And one of the nice features of the watch is that even though it has sort of necked down the basic ETA 2824 movement, removing the date, some will see that as a huge asset, a date not being essential in a dive watch, but inimical to symmetry. You'll note that the hacking function remains intact. So although the watch is not a chronometer, it does have a ETA top or chronometer grade. Those are the top 2 grades of ETA 2824. It does have one of those top 2 grade balances inside. It doesn't have the straight spokes on the balance. It has the flared spokes with a hairspring to match. And the watch allows precise synchronization to a dive timer, a known accurate reference clock, or just an atomic clock online. When you screw down the crown, which features the Tudor rose once more, you get that 200-meter modern water resistance with a look that's straight out of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. You can see this wonderfully evocative Tudor Heritage Black Bay in stainless steel and purchase it on our website.